ASMR does not, like, I don't see the appeal.
For me,
Wait, did we start? Are we starting?
I guess so.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Well, this is the preamble before the intro.
Oh, yeah. This is the warm-up.
For me, I had it like ASMR happened to me in real life once. Was somebody whispering or like blowing in my ear, and it was like a shock to the system. Like I didn't like it. Like it was an overwhelming sensation.
Yeah.
But then
you were just rock hard for days.
it was a moment I never forgot. No, that was like way before ASMR was like popular. I'm like, then it was like it became a thing, and then I was like, oh, I think that's what that was.
Yeah.
And I can vaguely get a little something from some things, but a lot of it, and a lot of it now, especially on like TikTok, they're
It's
like
weirdly sexual.
well, I mean, that's just how everything turns. But a lot of the sounds, especially when people are doing things in like, it's like sped up. And some people, like, if you ever seen them like building like the little like shacks out of twigs off in like the Cambodian desert or forest.
Yeah. The Cambodian desert.
Famous.
I don't know much about
a lot of sticks out there.
A lot of sticks.
But they'll be fast forward, and it's like the most satisfying little like sped up ASMR almost.
Okay, so
sounds.
then maybe I do get some satisfaction from it because like I'll watch like restoration videos where this guy will find like old electronics and pull them apart.
Yeah.
And clean them up. And, Okay, so maybe I do like some ASMR. Maybe I just don't like the white chick whispering into the microphone going like, you have an itchy scalp. Or whatever.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has just become like almost like a personality versus like a thing that they're trying to trigger. Or I don't know, maybe we just aren't the audience to...
Yeah. Maybe it's only for like hardcore perverts or something.
I don't know. All right, should we kick this off?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right.
This is jolly. I like that.
It felt good. We should maybe just keep that. Just stays out of place. Yeah, I was trying to... I thought about using just the same, this one. But just adding like some like... a little like some sleigh bells behind it. That would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
But I went to go look up to find some sleigh bells. And I'm like, I wonder if there's just a good Christmas intro. And that was the first one I saw. And I'm like,
I liked it.
That was it.
It warmed my heart right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's Christmas. It's Christmas time. It's the Christmas season. It's Christmas Day.
Yep.
How are we feeling?
If I had to guess, I'm tired. My family's already way too loud.
I'm currently wishing that I was like in bed listening to this or watching it on my iPhone.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know. I think Christmas is going to be a busy one. Like the day of Christmas for me is going to be what I'm really looking forward to is I'm having my grandma over and she's like,
that's going to be lovely.
She's like, what wine should I bring? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
What does your heart say? Bring that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel like around noon, we're cracking that bad boy open.
Dude, that's great. Wait, does that mean you're not going to be at grandma's at all on Christmas Day?
I guess we'll see.
I guess so.
If we are, we'll be
long gone by then if it's later in the day.
No, it'd be earlier.
Okay, then we'll be there.
So yeah, we might have a real early morning and be there, come home.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to go pick her up
and
then hang with her until
the wine's gone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Till the wine's gone or the conversation dies down, whichever comes first.
I can't imagine it dying down with your grandma.
No. She'll end up kind of, we'll be on the phone for a long time. And then she ends up kicking me off. But then she'll also be like, I was on the phone with so-and-so, and you know how much they talk? And I'm like...
Look who's talking, grandma.
No, then I'm like, she probably said that about me. No, it's that thing where it's like where people like to complain about the thing that they like doing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's more just like commiserating and also like we had a good time.
Yeah. No, I'm that type of person.
Yeah.
Like I'll drive irresponsibly in a parking lot, but the second I see somebody else doing, I'm like, I got kids in the car.
Yeah. I'm not the one driving, so
Yeah.
you can't be trusted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I am. I like to pretend that I'm the most important person on the road.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true, but
I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You never know.
yeah. Yeah.
You could be just on the highway and then everyone around you is just an awful human being. And you are genuinely the most important person.
Yeah. I mean, I've driven through Texas.
I'll never forget one of my first times driving in Texas and hearing like how crazy people drive.
Dude.
Especially like
Speed limits are optional and blinkers are purely for decoration.
Well, especially through like stretches like in between the city, like
Yes.
from, Dallas to Houston.
Yeah. Houston or the Woodlands to Houston. Dude, there are people that are very eager to get to H-Town.
Yeah. Well, I heard that and then I was going at least 5, I think probably 10 over, going with the flow of traffic. And there wasn't a ton of cars, but it was enough. And then there's a cop behind me and I'm like,
I'm so busted.
I'm about to find out like how real is this and he ended up getting like, I could tell from just the like motion of the car itself. Like he just got so impatient with me going that slow and he just pulled around me and I never saw him again. Like dude. He just took off.
Yeah. I would drive 80 regularly.
Yeah.
When I was down there and I was still getting passed. I mean, like people would honk at me. They'd flick me off and I'm like, I'm going 15 to 20 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Yeah. I was in Dallas proper one time though. And these two like street racing cars legit flew past me, like split and went around me.
Too fast, too furious.
They were going so fast. The car was just like, woo, and I was like that was the first time I think I realized like how fatal a high speed car crash would be. Just actually feeling that energy of a car going that fast past you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so we would just like be vaporized.
Yeah. Oh, there's like there's a theory behind road rage where it's like a subconscious part of your brain that is basically just screaming at the top of its lungs because your body is traveling faster than it could physically travel.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting because that would it would make sense.
Yeah.
Like no human can on their own go 60 miles an hour. So your brain is not registering. Like you're just going. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting little theory.
I wonder what it would be like to like live your life never having been in a vehicle until you were like an adult and then driving for the first time, like on the highway or not like being in the car,
Yeah. Like your first time, like not going above like
walking
fast
speed.
You can run.
Yeah.
Until you were like 30.
Yeah. And then you get in a car and just go 80. Like, I feel like that would just be overwhelming.
Yeah. It would either like ignite something in you and it would be like a rags to riches Formula One driver story.
Yeah.
Or you would just die.
Yeah. Or your body shuts down immediately.
It's like, I don't know.
Just gone.
Yeah.
How'd he die? 80 on the highway.
Oh, was it a crash? Nope.
No.
Just 80 on the highway.
80 on the highway. Did him in. All right. Well, it's Christmas. I'm going to start this off. I got to tell the story about my quest to find the greatest Christmas album of all time.
Oh my gosh. I completely forgot. Like, I'm so glad you're bringing this up because this is, I feel like every person around our age, if they heard this story, they would immediately identify with this. Like when you were telling me about this, I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, this is a fool's errand. He'll never find it.
Yeah. I was on a quest. So I grew up and I remember Christmas time, we had the classic, real fancy, real high tech 3-disc CD player.
Mm-hmm.
And during Christmas time, we load up our 3 Christmas albums of choice. And the album would finish and the next one would load over, play the next one. And there was one CD that we had that was my favorite Christmas album. It had, if nothing more, it's got the greatest opening and greatest closing track by a mile of any Christmas album ever. Mm-hmm. And I remember it from my childhood, and I'm like, I can't remember anything about it. Like, I just remember the vibes.
Yeah.
And I remember the cover art is like a just 2-tone color Christmas tree with like green and purple.
Yep.
Didn't know the name of it, nothing. I spent like a good decade thinking about it. And then probably 3 years, like, I gotta find that. I gotta find it. And I'm like, okay, I think it was like a sampler or something we got somehow. Like, I don't think we went and like, it was one at like Target. I remember there was like a local vibe to it, is where it finally, I made some like progress on tracking this down. So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, what Christmas samplers? I kept looking that up on like Google and eBay and all this stuff. And I don't remember what it was that how I found it, but I ended up finding it. It was the opening year of the Southdale Mall. And they had a Christmas album, and it's called Decorations. Mm-hmm. A gift from Southdale to you or something.
Dude, I feel like every Minnesota household had that CD.
I think they just gave it out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like if you visited the mall,
they were just handing them out.
Yeah.
And I found it, and it's not on iTunes or Spotify, nothing. Like so I tracked it down on eBay and bought it and got it. And it was everything I ever wanted it to be. Yeah. I'm like, this lived up to the decade of hype I had.
That's always the best.
Yeah.
Cause I remember I think it was it was a restaurant that I hadn't been to in a while.
Yeah.
Or like I hadn't been to since I was a kid. It was Hardee's. I hadn't been to a Hardee's since I was a kid. And so like there was one north of the cities. I was like, I'm going to get Hardee's. And I ordered the same thing I got when I was a kid, the Frisco burger, like curly fries, and I think it was Dr. Pepper. And it was so gross. And it made me so sick because I didn't stop. I was like, maybe I need to get 3/4 of the way through before I like it.
Maybe it's the aftertaste. Like once it settles and then you remember it better.
Felt so bad for
That's
like
rough.
2 days. Yeah. It was a real bummer.
Yeah. Or like when you've got like a movie from your childhood or a show and you're like, this was the best.
Yeah.
I feel like they always are. There's a certain level you're like, yeah, this is a lot cheesier than I remember. But at least most of the time you're just like,
yeah,
I see why a kid me like this. Yeah. Like this is the worst, but it's also great.
Yeah, 100%.
But then sometimes you watch it and you're just like,
yeah,
there's nothing enjoyable about this as an adult.
There was,
and I don't know why I liked it now.
There was this like cassette tape, or no, it was a VHS tape that my grandma had. She used to have like this collection of movies, and they were all just like super weird, like direct to rental or direct to tape or whatever. And one of them, it was like this movie about a family of orphans. It was just like 3 kids.
Okay.
And they became like hobos. And it was called On Our Own. And they must have sunk some money into the theme song because they played it every time they could in that movie. And like the chorus of it was just like some young girl singing, "We're on our own." And it was just like every time.
God, that seems vaguely familiar.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's another one of those ones where like they gave it away at like a McDonald's or
Yeah.
something. Because do you remember when McDonald's used to sell like movies?
Yeah.
Like it was like you could go and buy Back to the Future on VHS for $12 at McDonald's.
Yeah. I feel like there was just a lot. There was like that era, like late 90s, early 2000s, where like home media really hit big.
Yeah.
And
Especially
they were
with companies
just,
like Disney.
Yeah.
They were just cranking them out.
Well, but then there was just that level of like, they're giving away. Like, I remember I thought Three Doors Down was a Minnesota band for a long time because before they hit it big, we went to a Timberwolves game.
And they were just playing?
No, they were giving out like the demo of their debut album on cassette.
Must have been something with KDWB or something.
But it was like not just some random guy slinging them. Like you were getting them in, like walking into the stadium.
That's crazy.
And yeah, but it was before their album came out, and it was
they were the new hotness.
Yeah, like it was like a weird like between a demo and the album, because it was like, I want to say like 6 songs, and it was the final versions of like Kryptonite, their OG banger.
Yep.
And a couple others from that album. And I remember for the longest time, like they blew up, and I'm like, it's local boys.
Just making it big.
I got their rare demo, only 10,000 produced in that one day. Like thought it was the coolest thing. And it wasn't until like maybe a couple of years ago that I saw something about them, and they were like, they're a Tennessee band, wherever they're from.
Native to Nashville.
Yeah. And then part of me died that day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough.
But yeah, there was definitely that era of them just like,
just you'd get
giving
like
away like a
CD-ROMs in your cereal boxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember Chex cereal had like a game that came on a CD-ROM, and I got it for free. And I gave it to a kid for his birthday.
I got you this cool game.
Dude, I got you
Hype
this.
it up.
It's like, I know you have a computer.
Yeah. Or there would be a couple of things too. It was like the precursor to like audio dramas or like podcast narratives. I remember one time there was like a Captain Crunch series going on where he like vanished from the cover of the box.
Oh yeah, and it had like the dotted outline around where he was supposed to be. Yeah, I remember
and
that.
they came with CDs.
Yeah.
And it would play the story, and there was this whole thing where you had to guess what happened to him, and the winner got some prize. And I even remember thinking as a kid where I'm like, there's 3 options. Like more than one person's going to pick the right one. Right. I was like the winner gets $1 million.
33%.
Right. Like, so I don't know how that ever panned out, but
the prize was probably just like another box of Captain Crunch.
Probably.
Or maybe they got the scoop on the Oops All Berries.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it being something like significant and worded in a way where it was like, the winner gets this. And because it wasn't just like, if you guess right, you'll get something.
Yeah.
Because it was worded in a way
maybe
that
they wanted you
me
to show your work. Like they were hoping kids would just like write down in like a notebook.
Yeah. Send in your like style crime scene diorama. Yeah. Solving the
bullet
crime.
Came from here.
Yeah.
Hand me, you know what? Dealer's choice. I got 2 THC sodas in there.
I
got margarita lime.
Caliber?
Yeah, they're both 5 milli. I tried getting some smaller.
I never had that one, so
neither have I.
Well,
but
great.
No, but you know what? I'm a big fan of the Arnold Palmer. Gosh, do we want to open presents from our wives now, or do we want to wait? Or
yeah, let's kick that off.
Yeah, let's get into the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
So our wives started a book club about 10 years after Reed and I had started ours. And they thought it would be cute to buy us matching books so that we could also be in a book club.
I think
together.
mine's got a card.
What?
It's just because my wife loves me a little bit more.
Maybe mine has a card in it. All right.
Okay, wait. Let me see. I just got this. It says, "Open me while recording," and it looks
boy.
like there's something. This suggests something risque to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a heart on the eyes.
yeah. Is that something she normally does when she writes?
No.
All right. Well, open that first.
I'll open the card here. Hold on.
I got a feeling this is going to be something to just kind of slam us. It's a card.
All right, it's a little green card. Just says Merry Christmas.
Okay.
This is for you and your butt buddy to read and discuss on your romantic nights together. Love, your wives, aka the other women. And the actual card says, fill your heart with peace, love, and laughter this holiday. That's about what I
Yeah.
anticipate.
Butt buddy. Honestly, are we 12?
All right.
All right.
Let's crack these open.
Yeah. I'm going to let you work on yours a little bit because I think I just got to pull this lid off and I'm in. My wife's not very good at wrapping gifts. I wrap all the gifts in our house. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Oh.
All right. I saw what it is. I wasn't going to wait anymore. The Thursday
Murder Club.
The new Thursday Murder Club mystery, The Last Devil to Die, now available. Oh, so this is book 1. Huh. In a peaceful retirement village.
In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet weekly in the Jigsaw Room to discuss unsolved crimes. Together, they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club. When a local developer is found dead with a mysterious photograph left next to the body, the friends suddenly find themselves in the middle of their first live case. They might be senior citizens, but they are cleverer than most. As the bodies begin to pile up, can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? I hope this is us when we're old. I hope we have to solve a murder in our senior years.
Yeah.
And have a club about it.
Yeah. It's a New York Times.
I gotta say,
bestseller.
this is a great.
This is a pleasant surprise.
I hope this is a great book because
Yeah.
this looks awesome.
There's something charming about old people doing stuff, especially solving murders. My 2 favorite characters from Only Murders in the Building are
The murders. Oh yeah.
nope. I was gonna say Steve Martin and Martin Short, but
Of course, that's what I meant.
the murders.
Oh, what a gift!
That's so thoughtful.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because I know that they're giving that to us, like you said, under the assumption that we can also have a book club.
Yeah.
When we were the pioneers.
Yeah. I don't want to say we started book clubs in general.
Right.
I think Oprah might have did that,
But we're in the conversation.
yeah. In terms of young white dudes starting book clubs, I think we're top 5.
Yeah. And it's about as serious as a white guy book club could be, where it's just like, hey, I'm going to read this. You want to read this?
Yeah. Yeah. Your wife was asking me for stocking stuffer ideas earlier.
She goes crazy on the stockings.
Yeah. I suck at stockings.
Well, I'm just like, it's a stocking. Like, fill it with some candy and some knickknacks.
Exactly.
And she's like, that's no fun. And I'm like,
The presents are what we're all there for.
right. Like, if you're wanting cooler things, just get presents.
9 times out of 10, I would forget the stockings even existed if it weren't my mom saying, like, let's open them.
One of my biggest memories is pushing my hand down into the stocking as a child, or not a child. I was probably like 15 or 16 because then I grabbed what was in the base and pulled it out, and it was just like some new razors to shave. And I was like, these probably shouldn't be loose in the bottom of the... I think the
Was
case...
Cleet in charge of them that year?
No, I think they were like in that like clear case.
Oh, yeah, and it just
And
fell
it just
open.
busted open.
Yeah.
And so they were just like loose. And I'm just like,
There's an idea. Carlisle, Harlan, you're getting a bunch of rusty nails dumped in the bottom here.
oh,
Merry
man.
Christmas. Yeah, I'm in charge of stockings this year, and I have not started.
Yeah. I mean, she's great at them, and that's one of those things where I'm like real glad that our kids have you and not
Yeah.
me in this department, because
Yeah.
that's a lot more fun than my idea.
I will probably gonna, get some Hot Wheels, get some candy,
Yeah.
just jam them in there. Maybe some sort of small stuffed animal. Both my boys are obsessed with them right now.
Yep.
And monster trucks. Carlisle's big into monster trucks right now.
Yeah, he is.
And I have decided that monster trucks are the professional wrestling of the
Of childhood.
automotive sport.
Yeah.
Like NASCAR is like track and field. Monster trucks is professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's a good. You remember when everyone, like, at least for me, all of a sudden, all the adults in my life, because of church, were just suddenly like pro wrestling, like the fake kind, was like
Yeah.
took over all of the adults.
I think that was partially because our pastor was really into pro wrestling and
I think-
knew some old pro wrestlers.
Yeah, I think he had to have sparked it. But then I remember like going with my parents to like their adult friends' houses, and it was like wrestle night.
We're going to watch SummerSlam.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that was the same time that like all the kids were into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wish I could. There's so many things that I wish I could see with adult eyes about my childhood.
Yeah. Well, and wrestling's kind of going through a renaissance right now.
Yeah.
Like it's like mainstream.
Yeah.
Like the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins owns a professional wrestling organization, which is wild to me.
Yeah. I think the two, there's that new Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White,
like the Iron Claw. Yeah.
I remember I saw the first picture for that, and I was like, dear God.
They got beefy.
They got huge, thick, and with the craziest like bowl haircuts. And they had just released a picture months back, and your first assumption is like, this is like a Nacho Libre type movie.
And it ends up being like a very serious movie.
I guess it's serious and really good.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, then you got like Logan Paul.
Yep.
He got into like boxing.
And now he's like
super big, but then he's like, I'm retired. I'm like going full pro wrestling now.
Which makes way more sense. Like, dance and get hurt, kind of, or for sure get punched a lot in the head.
Yeah, or miss out on your twilight years and never have a club to solve a murder. Or have a club and solve a murder while all of your family watches you actually be imagining this in your head.
Or start a pro wrestling club that solves murders
at the Senior Citizen Center.
All right. I'm going to pick my fantasy league murder solving crew for John Cena, obviously, The Rock, obviously,
dude.
Sting.
Oh, Sting.
Yeah. And may he rest in peace, Macho Man Randy Savage.
What a great guy. That is okay.
Like that lineup solving all murders, by the way.
So talking about like nostalgia, and you would mention that a little bit ago with like the musicians in one of our quickie episodes.
Yeah.
Of like weaponizing nostalgia kind of in the right way. Mm-hmm. And how it feels like it's kind of a renaissance of like, or not a renaissance, a new thing.
Yeah.
But I also wonder like, or maybe it's just because we're finally at the age that the people making things are our age and the references are now finally relevant to us.
Yeah.
It's probably a mix of both.
I've always kind of wondered, like, obviously new things come out and there are things like that our kids are going to be into that we just don't understand.
Yeah.
But there's also like, there's a lot of stuff that just like never goes away. Like rock and roll music has really never gone away. But it always has different moments where it just kind of like takes off. And I feel like that happens in every generation. Like every generation has like a rock band or a rapper or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything kind of lining up,
Mm-hmm.
and then those things take off.
Yeah.
But it's almost like there's a rhythm to it.
Right. Yeah. But with, I feel like that's a perfect like nostalgia movie to be made like 10, 20 years from now, depending on who you want in it.
Just like these old ass wrestlers.
Where it's like when the wrestlers are legit old.
Yeah.
And
I mean, some of them, like Hulk Hogan,
right, that's
is
what I'm
legit
saying. Like
old.
Hulk
and
Hogan
Macho Man
could
is
do that now,
dead.
you know, but like John Cena and The Rock, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna need some time for that one. Like, it would be funniest when they were legit old.
Yeah.
To do something like that where they have to.
You could do Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wasn't a wrestler; he was a bodybuilder, but still, like,
It's kind of in that scene.
he had that same level of hype around him.
Yeah, similar. Like, remember how Hulk Hogan had like those movies too?
Oh, bro. He had one. I think it was Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny. Yeah.
He was also in one of the Three Ninjas movies. He played the bad guy.
Yeah. I don't remember what the name of it is, but there's one where it's just super like 80s, just like action. He's just the action hero.
Are you talking Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
Is it the one where he's got like a super boat? Have I ever told you about this?
I don't know.
There used to be a show with Hulk Hogan. And he was like, I think it took place in like Florida, and it might have been called like Thunder in Paradise or something like that. And he was like a superhero that had like a smart boat. Do you remember that show Viper, where the car would like change?
Yeah.
It was like that, but with a boat.
Oh, man.
And Sting played the bad guy in the face paint and everything in the middle of like the Florida heat.
I don't know
in a
how
full
I
leather
didn't
jacket.
know about this.
This was my jam as a kid. And my
would have
dad
been
loved
for
it
me.
too. Yeah. And like guys would like try to steal his boat, and the boat would be like not know them and just electrocute everybody and throw them in the water. It was absurd, but it was so cool. Just Hulk Hogan just cruising on a speedboat. And he had like a little sidekick.
Okay. I feel like we have to go more in depth on this in another episode. But just speaking about the like old like childhood crazy action
90s,
stuff.
2000 TV.
So Josh and I rewatched season 1 of the Ninja Turtles cartoon. And there was just so much just chaos in terms of the plot and the logic.
Nothing goes in a straight line. It's just like, oh, Shredder, he's really fucking shit up. And then it goes, we got to get these people from another dimension's car to figure out.
Yeah. No reason, no previous explanation as to why.
And all the people from the future just talked like 50s greasers.
Yeah. And that's how it was like if the 50s were just frozen and the future went on, and then their exact cars were able to fly.
Yeah. And they had like those weird coiffed hair, like leather jackets.
And someone asks a question about Dimension X. He's like, Dimension X is Greensville, baby.
And then they go there and it's all on fire. And then everything's just burning.
Then a couple episodes later, they show the robots that they're like there to harvest the new materials from. And it looks like literally the robots version of hell, where they're just in the lake of fire, just burning. And it's just like, where's Greensville?
It's just, when I was a kid, I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
There were so many moments in those episodes where
you did have to wait a week in between episodes, so it's not like you're really picking up plot points.
Well,
but like,
yeah, I feel like as a kid, especially like the age that we had watched it, like I'm just watching them, and then that's fueling like my imagination for when I'm playing toys or playing karate with like in the living room alone.
Yeah, or like I'm just walking up to my dad and karate chopping him in his balls. Yeah. I was so into Ninja Turtles, and like my parents, like we were pretty broke most of my childhood, but for some reason I had like a pretty solid collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And somebody at church talked about how ninjas were demons or something,
Yeah.
or that mutant was bad or whatever, and we got rid of all of my Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
I got a box full of Ninja Turtles action figures from one of my neighbors who was, and I was like 6, and he was like, I don't know, he went off to college or something. And I thought about that years later, and I'm like, that was that dude's like Toy Story moment.
Oh yeah.
That had to have been, because it was in the peak of the 90s, like
Yeah.
97.
Oh man, yeah.
And he got like, I'm talking like, had all of them, had all the different
the
versions of
van
of Shredder and all of his different armor. And I got a box of them when he went off to college, and I'm like, that, I don't know who it was like now, but I'm just like, I hope that person, like,
Hope he knows how much he
yeah, they went to a
impacted my
good
life.
home and they were loved.
Man.
But anyways,
I think mine just went in the garbage.
yeah, I kept mine. I don't know what happened to him, because my mom has kept so many of my toys, because she's like, you're gonna have kids one day.
Yeah. My mom tried to keep some of my toys, and I'm like, you can keep them at your house, but if you give them to me,
That's the thing
kids aren't
is
gonna
just
play with
like, if you have the space to store them,
sure.
then yeah, like
Yeah.
it's this perfect thing to be able to, because like now I've got to like benefit from that, and like then my kids are like playing with my stuff.
But also, toys from when we were a kid were dog shit.
Well, it depends. Like,
I mean, some of them are cool. Some toys now are terrible, but
Yeah.
like some of the toys now are like
right.
insanely cool
Mm-hmm.
when you compared it to like some of the stuff that we got, where it's like you were stoked if they had knee joints and elbow joints.
Right. And the faces don't look anything. It's
No.
just generic white man #1 for everyone.
Yeah, every GI Joe, and their eyes were always just like a little off of the mold. So you had just this cross-eyed GI Joe with 2 left hands.
All right. Well, let's loop this back to the Christmas topic.
Yeah,
Speaking of toys.
'tis the reason for the season.
Yeah. Did you have any memorable like Christmas toys? I had one year, one of my favorite Christmas hauls. Well, I've got 2 that have always stuck out growing up. I got a bunch of like really cheap just game things. Like we got like a dartboard.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got this one, I think it was just mine. Maybe it was a joint present, but it was called laser tennis. And it was a board that would fold open and just lay on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the tennis court, lines on it.
Yeah.
And there was like, 2-leg with the arm across with a literal laser. And it was like, would play the game, like,
It was like
the
Pong?
laser light. Yeah. But like physically in real life. And you had these little things.
What?
Me and Ryan played that for like 5 years and had tournaments, and it was incredible.
That sounds amazing.
And it had kind of like some of those like classic glitches where it's like, if someone's hitting it toward the corner and you hit it a certain way, it like turbos across. And so sometimes you get that. And
Yeah.
there was a few times where you're like, oh, I'm going to get the glitch where it's just going to not count my thing and they're going to get a point. So there was like those 2 ends
Yeah.
of the spectrum of glitches. But that was one of the coolest. And it was probably, I don't know, I want to say it wasn't anything, like it was probably one of those toys where it's like back in the day when we got them, and it was like at the department stores.
Mhm.
And there's just like all of the big toys for the season, and then just like
Yeah.
the off-brand, like
Yeah.
it was probably one of those, like in that stack.
Oh, yeah.
And it ended up being the coolest,
That's awesome.
funnest one.
I remember one year we basically, like, my grandma bought all of our Christmas presents one year for whatever reason. But I remember, so we got to go and just kind of like pick out some of the stuff that we wanted. And I just remember picking out the coolest dinosaur toys I could find. And then not being able to actually play with them for 2 weeks.
That's rough.
Yeah. And then opening them all up and just being so amped about what I already knew that I had. So that year is very memorable. And then there was another year. We lived in Texas, and for some reason, I asked for just the dumbest shit. I asked for like new pajamas and a cork board and thumbtacks to go in the cork board and a calendar. Like I basically was like trying to set up a small office in my room.
Yeah. That's probably like that time, like when you are kind of transitioning out of childhood and stuff like that seems adult, seems cool all of a sudden, and you're like trying to like make that statement and life change.
Right.
You know?
But still, it was just like so lame.
Did you ever, are you someone that would, okay, well, I guess let's figure out what kind of Christmases we each had.
Yeah.
So I had like, we've done Santa through my whole life.
Yeah, we never did Santa.
Well,
Santa is it's a socioeconomic privilege. When you go with your mom to buy Christmas presents, you know exactly where that shit's coming from.
Yeah.
When your parents say, "Hey, you each get about $100 budget for Christmas,"
well,
you know where that stuff's coming from.
Right. Yeah. See, I think we were just saying this in a different talk that we were having of just like how things are presented. Well, it depends on like your age, but like, you know, I kind of had like this weird time where I was like in two very different tax brackets.
Yeah.
And them not feeling different because they made such an effort for that.
When I was a kid, I didn't know that we didn't have any money.
Right.
Until I was probably 11 or 12, and I was still buying shoes at Payless, but all my buddies were wearing like Jordans or whatever.
Yeah.
So like that was when I first noticed. But like as a kid growing up, like we always had fun. Mm-hmm. Like even when we were living in a trailer park, like Christmas was still magical. Mm-hmm. Like it was, I never felt like I never felt embarrassed to have anyone come over and hang out or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because what I asked that for was I was going to see if you were one to ever like try to sneak and figure out Christmas surprises beforehand.
Not at my house, but I would do it. I would help my friends that I knew were getting the awesome gifts. I had one buddy named Trenton, and his parents, I mean, every year, I think it was the year the GameCube came out. And so he got like a GameCube for Christmas, and his brother got the PlayStation 2. Like they just got everything all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I'd go over there to hang out, and his parents would go grocery shopping or whatever. And I'd be like, all right, we need a razor blade and some Scotch tape. And I would slice everything open and be like, dude, you got a GameCube.
So I don't know if my kids are split. Caroline 100% will not. She doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
She wants the surprise. She enjoys that.
Yeah.
She'll come into every day, this week and all leading up to Christmas. Dad, can I come in there? Is everything put away? Are there toys out?
Not Dad, are you decent?
Like, does not want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how Riley is. He's come off as like...
He seems like a scamp.
I feel like he'd maybe like, oh, I need to use your bathroom and take a peek, but he's also the type of kid that would be like, feel so guilty.
Yeah. He's like Eddie Haskell mixed with like Beaver from Leave It to Beaver. Like he's those two.
Yeah. Like I think he wants to like try and catch a glimpse, but isn't someone that would be like, I'm going to go look and dig through it and see everything.
Yeah. It's like when your parents told you to close your eyes watching a movie and you just kind of go just to see if you could catch a little boob.
Yep. Yeah. I remember so I was always like, I I love the idea of a surprise, but I also loved the thrilling idea of sneaking in and finding out what it was.
Oh, I I love the idea of a surprise.
Yeah.
Both Hannah and I love the idea of a surprise. The second whatever one of us buys each other for a birthday or Christmas gets delivered to the house, we just give it to him. Hannah has all of her Christmas presents except for like 2.
Oh man. I remember one year I was like, I'm home alone. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go peek in my parents' closet and see what I got.
Look at my gifts.
And I went and kicked that door open and there was nothing in there.
Dang.
And I'm like, now I have guilt. I didn't even get like,
I guess
I committed the crime without getting like anything out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
That's hilarious. Yeah, I know. Now that I think about it, I would occasionally, depending on like what I'd asked for, check in and see. Like as I got older, I was probably 15 or 16 when I started doing that more regularly. I think. Yeah.
All right. So I've got 2 different things.
Okay.
I got one thing that's probably a good thing to close out on.
Good, because some of mine might be a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. So I figured it'd be a good idea to kind of sandwich them.
Yeah.
But one of them that I was really interested in looking up and figuring out was in how they talk about it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about ghost stories. There'll be scary ghost stories and tells of the glories of Christmas is a long time ago.
I always figured that was just a Christmas Carol, like Scrooge.
So I'm like, that's the only one.
Yeah.
That's
Are there other Christmas ghosts?
Yeah.
Oh.
There are. So I kept wanting to like there's a bunch there, like that was my first idea to look up for this to kind of bring to the episode.
Christmas ghosts.
Christmas ghost stories, or just what was the scoop on that?
Yeah.
There were so many rabbit holes of just Christmas lore.
Yeah, I mean,
that, like
it started out as a very different thing.
Well, American Christmas is so much more of a melting pot than I even realized.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was, and I knew a lot of like, stockings were one thing and trees were another, and we've kind of
mishmashed it all together. Right. Yeah.
But how, like the level of it all, it's like every facet has multiple things that it pulled in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that alone was really interesting. But so with the ghost stories it was kind of a mix where the biggest thing was Yule, and that's from the pagan celebration, and that would be it's kind of celebrating the winter solstice and kind of the shift of the days at their darkest, and then from that moment on it starts to get a little lighter. And so that's where the 12 days come from. And a Yule log.
Not saying that I have a log.
Started as someone would bring a tree. They would cut down a tree, and you would just use that whole tree as firewood for the 12 days. And it was like a 12-day thing. And so it's a mix between that era and just it was huge then in like Victorian England. Just there not being like swapping stories was the entertainment. Like that was like a spoken tale was how you gathered and passed the time and kind of connected. And then specifically with like the Yule era, that was like it was intentionally scary because it's cold and it's just this final like huddle together like physically and tell this story and have like a fear bond basically off in the cold. And like it's also the darkest days, and so you're just kind of like, well, it's the darkest, so let's
just huddle
cash
together
in and just find something fun to make of it. And then that continued through Victorian England era, where it was just a way to pass. And it's kind of harkens back to thinking of, previous times, which is very kind of on brand for all, Christmas celebrations in all of its form. And then when America was formed, this was really interesting. They, I don't remember the year, but they went anti-Christmas, hard. There were laws formed banning Christmas feasts. And they had basically the police patrolling, just looking out for people even making food to be like,
is that for Christmas?
Right. And you would get fined. You would get fined 3 days worth of income if you were caught celebrating Christmas.
So my dad was right. There was a war on Christmas.
There was, and it was from America.
What?
America was anti-Christmas for a little bit. And part of it was because of another thing, there was I don't know if it's all of England, but somewhere to this day, back in that same time, they were like, this is gluttonous, and the Christmas feast is outlawed. There's laws that were signed in that time that have technically never been undone. So it's technically completely illegal to this day. Nobody follows it or does anything against it, but it's just
that's so wild.
And then America killed the tradition of the Christmas ghost stories because everyone coming here, it was such a mentality of this is a fresh start.
Yeah. They're like, fuck
the past
England.
Dies.
We're starting over.
Everything, we're not looking back.
And now Christmas is about a baby.
And so ghost stories, it was we're not talking about old dead people.
Yeah.
That's... Huh. So there was this, and that killed it. And then Charles Dickens
kind of brought it back.
He did A Christmas Carol. It blows up. And he wrote a bunch more.
Yeah, I remember hearing that he wrote a ton more.
Yep. And none of them ever caught on.
Yeah.
A Christmas Carol was just an immediate cultural thing.
Yeah.
And that to me, I never got to the bottom of why maybe, but that was it. We just got our one Christmas ghost story.
You know what? Weaponized nostalgia.
That legit could be the thing.
I mean, I'm sure there was just enough time that had passed where somebody was like, man, I remember my granddad telling me these scary stories about freaking space schools around the Yule log.
I really wanted to read a couple. I didn't. Christmas Carol is a novel.
Yeah.
So I assume that some of
I'm
these
pretty familiar with it. I was in something called The Gospel According to Scrooge. And I danced and sang about it.
What a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to read some other ones, but I don't know. But maybe the level of scariness is a little more.
Yeah.
And A Christmas Carol is just kind of that perfect, there's ghosts, but one of them's the coolest dude to ever live.
Right.
And one of them's a kid.
And one of them is basically death.
And then the last one is the only that. And the Ghost of Marley. Yeah. Those are the only two spooky ghosts.
Yeah, everyone else is just a good hang.
And then I bet there was something to do with the era of just the anti-Scrooge character.
Yeah.
Just the capitalist weighing everyone down, that everyone was able to just I see my boss in this character.
Screw that guy. Oh. Wait, he can change his ways. He will buy me a goose. All right. Well, so to piggyback off of your little history story, I have an interesting fact about something that happened on Christmas Eve in 1865.
All right.
Do you have any guesses?
1865. Do we know where this takes place?
Yes. Pulaski, Tennessee.
Oh, I have no idea.
The KKK was formed
On Christmas?
on Christmas Eve. Isn't that insane? Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Christmas hardly seems like the perfect day to form a hate group, but sure enough, that's what happened on Christmas Eve in 1865, 158 years ago. I'm gonna need you to hang on to that number for a second here. In Pulaski, Tennessee, a group of men who previously served in the Confederate Army got together to chat. They put together a brand new group meant to uphold white supremacy and to reverse the government's equal rights work after the Civil War.
Oh,
Isn't that insane?
that's crazy.
All right, so 158.
Okay.
This number's important, okay?
Yeah.
1, 5, 8. 1 and 8. What is that? Add 1 and 8.
9.
Yep, okay. 9 and 5. What is that?
14.
Okay. So now there's 3 numbers. 1, 5, 8. What's 14 minus 3?
14 minus 3, 11.
9, 11. I spent a lot longer than I'd like to admit figuring out how I could make that math work in some roundabout way, and I got there.
Oh my gosh. All the dots connect.
Yeah. But how insane is that?
All roads lead to New York.
All roads lead to New York. But yeah, how insane is that?
Like, what do you suppose was happening? I guess I'm curious as to what Christmas was like then. Because, like, what was like...
How are you that mad?
Right. Like, what happened where they were like, guys, we need to meet tomorrow.
I know we got a lot going on. It's a busy season, but this is important.
This is the second most important thing to happen this week.
Yeah. That's insane.
And I'm willing to bet if someone was like, tomorrow I'm booked, he's like, Christmas night, what are you doing?
I got an idea, and I need you guys to help me flesh it out. We're all gonna have names like Grand Wizard and like Super Cyclops or whatever they're called.
That's how he hyped the boys up.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'll be the leader. Check out this dope name I thought of, though. I'm just gonna
spitballing here.
Just gonna workshop it.
Grand Wizard.
And then they're just like,
and then it snowballed from there. Like, shit, what?
oh man.
Dude, there were some other way darker ones on this list that I was looking through, but I'm like, we can have a laugh at this one. The other one was like, the whole village burned down. Like, the biggest village in Africa burned down on Christmas. And so that I found in digging for some stuff to look at, I found this list. It's a list of 10 things about Christmas time.
Okay.
Hospitals reported 4 broken arms last year after wishbone pulling. Yeah. Accidents, yeah. 3 people die each year testing 9-volt batteries to see if they work on their tongues. And that happens typically more, those deaths happen more frequently around December.
I didn't know that you could even die from that.
Neither did I. The year this was put out, 5 people were injured in accidents involving out of control RC cars.
What a way to go. Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And you work, slave like a dog, buy your kid that really expensive RC car and just domed with it, and you're out. End of your story.
8 people cracked their skull in 1997 after falling asleep while throwing up into the toilet on Christmas.
Oh no.
This one kind of blew my mind a little bit. 18 people had serious burns in 1998 after trying on a new sweater with a lit cigarette in their mouth. 18 people. that number's way too high.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
19 people have died in the last 3 years believing that Christmas decorations were chocolate. Just taking a bite out of a Christmas decoration and then somehow still swallowing after you find out it's glass.
Oh. What's the logic? Oh, this hurts. I'm committed, though.
31 people have died since 1996 by watering their Christmas tree while the lights were plugged in. Yeah.
Oh.
I never even considered that. I never unplugged the lights. They were just on a timer.
Oh, that one's one of those like obvious in hindsight.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. This one, I'm surprised I'm not a part of this statistic. 58 people are injured each year by using sharp knives instead of screwdrivers. I have used pocket knives to open up screws many times.
Oh, man.
101 people since 1997 have had to have broken parts of plastic toys pulled out of the soles of their feet.
Oh.
This last one has happened to me. 142 people were injured in 1998 by not removing all the pins from their new shirts. Can you just imagine pulling on like a fresh new shirt and just getting a pin stuck in your, and then a blood stain on your fresh new shirt?
It's just ruined.
All right. And then the last one, I consider this one to be kind of like the biggest tragedy of all the ones that I found.
Okay.
So this took place in 1996.
All right.
In Minnesota.
Oh.
It was at a family Christmas get-together. There were 3 generations of family there. And then the oldest grandchild was like unusually excited this year because he was hoping that he would get like the cool thing everybody was wearing that year. And that was corduroys with like the wider cord to them.
Okay.
Yeah. So he asked for them. He was super stoked. He wanted the wide leg ones. Like that was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's opening up all his gifts. He gets to the last one. It's from his great grandma. And she was just like a saint of a woman, apparently. And he opened it up. He put his hand in and he felt the corduroys, but he pulled them out and they were like the straight leg, thin, skinny ones. And he was just too polite to say anything or whatever. Yeah. And that kind of like set him on a dark path because after that, he became me. I was that young man who didn't get the wide leg, fat-spaced corduroys that year. That's my origin story.
Oh, man.
I was worried you were going to figure that out right away that I was talking about me. I was really worried.
No.
But
not at all. Because I was so like 96. I'm like, okay, I'm alive for it.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota.
That's why I wrote it that way specifically.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to give him a year and then I'm going to say it's a hometown thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you wouldn't have, then I would have been like,
this son of a bitch.
Well, maybe not, because what I was anticipating this leading to was like everyone dying.
Yeah, no, I kind of was trying to like
right. So,
weave
like,
that tale a little bit.
A kid's going to do something and accidentally blow the house up. Or then once he got to the point where he's getting a gift and it's down to the last one and it's not what he wants. And I'm just like, is this dude going to murder everyone?
Is this guy going to kill 3 generations? That's another reason why I put like the generations in there. I really wanted to kind of
You sold. That was crafted perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I wrote that in about 20 minutes today. Will you hand me a beer, good sir?
Yes.
But yeah,
This
like
is delicious.
I'm
Dude.
excited. I'll have one probably tomorrow. But yeah, I thought it was.
What's up?
I was foaming over.
Oh,
Yeah, I would like the cake. Like I looked at several lists, and the KKK was like number 5 on all of them.
yikes!
Yeah, it's just so wild to me. Like one of the worst things that about America started on one of everyone's favorite days.
Man, yeah,
This year I'm gifting myself supremacy. And the title of
It's a gift for all the Watts.
of Grand Cyclops Wizard.
Oh man! All right, I got to open this bad boy up. Got some notes here.
I can't wait. While you're doing that, I actually had a little thought the other day. So you remember World Star, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I used to look at it all the time. I was like, World Star, street fights, hell yeah. I think racial tensions have to be getting better in this country. And the one piece of evidence that I have is I saw a skiing video on World Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're screaming
Times
for
are changing.
content.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like a fight on the mountain. It was just a white guy doing like 8 backflips.
Man, I bet part of their downfall literally is like they were like the snake that ate themselves, because I bet so many people just started being like World Star, World Star in their video that it became like a meme.
Yeah.
To the point where like real World Star videos like weren't cool because of that.
Yeah, I mean that's totally possible, because I just remember thinking World Star is like the place to go if you want to see black people beating each other up.
If you want to see someone need the amber lamps,
Get him some milk.
get him some milk.
He needs some milk. Oh, he's leaking. He's leaking.
Oh man.
Yeah. But that led me to my 2 new most recent YouTube subscriptions are Street Beefs and Street Beefs West Coast.
Oh,
Dude.
okay.
It's like organized fighting with regular people. Like they build an octagon, they got records, they have an announcer. These are edited. They all have names.
Oh,
Yeah. Some of these
that's
guys,
great.
there's some guys that are like, you should not be getting hit in the head anymore.
Can't afford anymore.
One guy's dresses up like someone from like Naruto or whatever. And then he just goes ham and gets knocked out like immediately.
Oh, here's good. Just kind of a one I threw in here. Have you heard of Whamageddon?
Is it from the Wham song?
Yeah.
No, I like where it's going though.
Okay. So it's this thing, and I guess it's like in the UK is like Britain takes this thing seriously.
Okay.
So this is an article from yesterday on NPR.
Okay.
And it's about Whamageddon, and it's the title is "Are You Playing Whamageddon? It's the Christmas game you've probably already lost." So it's just literally the goal is to survive from December 1st to the 25th without hearing that song.
Oh, I lost.
But
I lost in November.
it's not about you actually playing. It's they've got a guy interviewed on this, and it's the very moment you have that oh no feeling hit your brain, that's when you lose.
Oh.
So if you're like out and it's on and you just don't really register it,
Yeah.
you're free. Also, covers and like instrumental type versions don't count.
Okay, that's nice.
But I guess so. Like,
I thought this was going to be like some dark thing.
no,
where like somebody reinterpreted the song as like, this is the last Christmas and then I die.
made some like crazy fan theory, like how Kevin McAllister's Jigsaw from
That holds true in my opinion. That holds true in my opinion.
Okay, so what sparked this article was that last week, a DJ caused a stir in Britain after playing the hit Wham song Last Christmas at a soccer match in front of 60,000 people.
Oh.
Then a week earlier, another DJ had done the same at a match with 7,000, prompting him to be forced to apologize on the BBC.
Oh my gosh.
Because their two moves took out 100,000 people.
That's insane. I gotta fix my headphones. They're making my head itchy. Keep talking.
See, why did you have to apologize? These tune slingers had just whammed their audience. Potentially knocking tens of thousands of people out of a long-running Christmas game. Oh, man.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty great.
That's actually really funny. I kind of think we should start trying to play that.
I feel like at least for the next couple Christmases, we're just
gonna lose.
Well,
we're gonna remember that we're playing when we lose.
You're gonna hear it in November when the Christmas music kicks off
in some people's households.
Yeah, or if you leave and go to anywhere. But that's almost going to be worse because we're going to forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone listening now, too, you're going to hear Last Christmas just before December.
And then you're going to remember.
And even if you're not even playing, the first time you hear it in December, you're going to know. You're like, oh, I just lost. And then guess what? You were playing because you thought that.
It's like a virus. It just spreads.
Once you know it,
it's in. Like, don't think about elephant.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's why it's so genius, because it's like, it's just knowing about it. And then through virtue of that, you technically will play it.
I love that.
Oh, man.
I wonder if there's a way where you could like Pavlov's dog yourself into like going all subconscious when that song comes on. Like you just
as soon as like the first
you train jingle, yourself all year,
you just drop into the sunken place for the duration of the whole song.
I started watching Get Out last night when I was laying in bed and I was way too high.
Oh, what a timely reference then for me.
It was actually very timely.
Oh, I got a text from somebody. Or I text somebody 2 days ago, told them happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And their last text to me was happy birthday. And my last text to them was happy birthday.
I've got a few of those.
It's the worst.
It is because like
every time I hope so badly that they just delete their texts.
Yeah.
And don't see the trail.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, oh, this like, I don't talk about this person, or I don't talk to this person often, but like they still remember me on my birthday, or their phone lets them tell me on their birthday.
I guess it would depend on who it is. The person that just happened to, I'm just like, I feel like I should be.
The one I remember the most is Krista.
Texting.
Your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
All of our texts are, every once in a while she'll be like, oh, here's a cute picture I took of one of your boys. But
yeah. Yeah, I've got a few of like family, I guess, where it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got me thinking, it's someone else's birthday today. The Lord's.
What?
It's Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the day that we're recording it.
And it just got me thinking, what would your text messages look like if we could pull them open right now?
My text messages to Jesus?
Would it just be the happy birthday?
I'd say for the last like 3 or 4 years, probably it would just be happy birthday. But you go back like 10 years ago and we were talking a lot. a lot. I also was sending them a lot of money too.
That was my
your red herring?
My youth pastor
yeah.
Any youth pastors, you feel free to drop that one during the prayer.
There is one that I will never forget. PJ.
Oh,
When he took over the youth group
okay.
the second time or whatever. And he was doing like this whole long speech, and it ended with him talking about like something about being the most, everyone thinks like this is the most important thing in history. But tonight we're going to talk about his story. Let's pray. And he did like the arm point to the ground and bowed his head at the same time. And I was like, man, that was dorky as shit. It was so bad. And I made fun of him later that night too.
I love it.
Yeah.
He just had such Michael Scott energy.
He really did. It was unbelievable. Like he was, yeah. Just like could not read the room, but was also so genuinely kind and lovable and funny, but just like the biggest dork.
Oh man. Okay. So I've got a couple things to close out on. I've got one more little occurrence that happened today. So Jake posted, he was working at Starbucks, and it was just the order list. The stickers had printed out, and we're like piling on the floor. And he goes, he's like, so our sticker thing malfunctioned and just printed 100 of the same order. So that was fun. And I replied to his story, and I said, in about an hour, some intern is about to come in, panicked out of their mind, hoping that you have their Christmas party order in, and you're going to tell them that your machine you thought it malfunctioned, and that you threw them away, and that dude is going to commit suicide in your store on the spot.
Suicide's not funny to laugh at. That'd be pretty funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right. So I went to look up, I wanted to grab a couple Christmas facts because I found some of those America facts blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pull that in. And I figured I'd just have a couple, like we did. We're just like, hey, here's this fact.
Yeah.
List them off. And this turned into a whole other thing where it was like led down a rabbit hole of how intertwined and melting potty so much of our stuff is.
Yeah.
And so I've got the 3 facts I have to do with like things that we buy.
Okay.
And or they have to do with like company related things that have completely formed the Christmas that we know.
Oh, I love stuff like this.
This stuff blew my mind.
Like this, yeah.
So the first one is Thomas Edison, the inventor of the first successful practical light bulb, also created the first strand of electrical lights that would become Christmas lights.
And that would go on to kill 18 people every year.
And if we add up the letters, Thomas Edison,
we get 911. 911.
Oh, man. 1880. The strands that he used were strung outside of his laboratory over Christmas that year. They were literally made to be a string of Christmas lights. So it was just like, oh, he invented something that vaguely like
all right, now you're showing off, Eds.
Right. And before then, obviously, people used candles, which
would just light trees on fire.
That blows my mind that it ever was a success.
So Christmas, like pine trees go up immediately. Yeah. Once you cut them down, if they had like 45 minutes to dry, they turn into freaking jet fuel.
Right. And as we all know, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
It's all coming together.
uh, yeah, so they would just, I don't know how candles ever work.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was like, well, Christmas, they didn't celebrate it as like long, maybe.
Yeah.
So there was that.
Maybe the
I'm
tree
like,
was
no.
only up for like a day
Right.
or whatever.
But yeah, it's like they burn.
It doesn't matter.
They don't need, to be sitting there for a month.
No.
And then in 1903, General Electric kind of created the first pre-assembled Christmas lights.
Wow.
And then it didn't take off for a while because at that time, it would have cost, just to light a Christmas tree, it would have been $2,000 in today's money.
Holy cow.
So it was just like the real...
Yeah, it was at like fancy stores or
right
on like the White House maybe.
Yeah, it would be like something that would be used as, like to pull
Symbol
people
of wealth.
in.
Yeah.
Which kind of ties into the other things where it's reading a lot about this early America stuff and how much of our like how advertising was such a staple in like a lot of lore of things and like creating something to pull people in versus just like really generic things.
Like instead of saying like this store sells socks, they're saying these socks are warm and they're going to make you feel warm all over and you can buy them at Bergdorf Goodman's or whatever.
Yeah, well they would also do like write things and stories to get people to like just come to the store for the story type things.
Yeah.
And then they're here, so let's shop.
Yeah.
Like
I'm guessing that's probably a big reason mall Santas were invented.
Yeah. Well, so one fact I had read said that Santa used to be green and became red from Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I was like, and everybody in the comments below that one were like, no, that's not how it worked.
But
if
you look at old German photos of like Kris Kringle or whatever, he's in green. He's wearing green.
So I'm like, that one seems both like plausible and too crazy to be true, kind of. So I look it up, and that fact isn't true. But the real fact was infinitely more insane to me.
Okay.
Was that Coca-Cola created Santa Claus as we know him. So Santa Claus the figure existed long before.
Yeah.
But
Cinder Claus or whatever.
Well, who he was would change depending on whatever the narrative. He would either be a human or he could be an elf. He could be just an old kind of weathered man or he could be like almost creepy. And his outfits would be sometimes red, but a lot of times brown and green. And they were either like the bishop's robes.
Okay.
Or like the long like huntsman like.
Well, because wasn't the original, the OG Santa Claus was like just like a really generous priest, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that of who. And I think, I don't know if it's like, it seems like it's something where it's like everything kind of worked in the perfect way where kind of this idea of Santa became a thing.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, because of St. Nicholas or however. And then it was like retroactively, but it was like that figure was basically who they were being anyways.
Right.
But a bunch of different cultures started doing it too at that same time. And, but yeah, he was that very like Father Christmas character more than Santa that we know.
Yeah. And he always had like little squirrels and stuff around him. And
So it was 1931. Coca-Cola commissions a story. They want an ad. And they want Santa Claus as, and it was the first time that they were like commissioned like the real Santa, not someone being Santa. And it was the first they did this, painting of him, and it's just it's the Santa we know. It's the jolly man with the rosy cheeks, and the iconic outfit itself. Was from this one painting. They went on; it became this like massive success, and they continued, and they were responsible for shaping like the narrative, like of how we perceive Santa
I've always kind
entirely.
of wondered because all of the various Santa stories just hit my elbow. All of the various Santa stories are like tiny little bits are reflected. Like some of the creepier Santas, the part of the creep factor from some of those stories were him coming down, getting into your house through your chimney. And so, like, yeah, that's kind of like it just kind of.
Well, there's a lot like Krampus.
Yeah,
is like where it's
like
a lot of things
Santa
have
demon,
right things where
who
it's
knows your sins,
like you're scarily punished
yeah,
for not being good,
right,
versus just not you don't get something cool.
yeah. It's like, oh, you get a lump of coal. It was like, I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Krampus is gonna come and steal you from this world.
Yeah. If you're only a little bad, he's gonna like eat your toes.
Yeah. So this ad campaign, and it was like a good stretch of time.
Yeah.
Where he would do these paintings, and people like the yearly Coca-Cola Christmas ad was this thing that like it was this like artist meets the fan base conversation where he ended up modeling it after himself in a way and would pose and in a mirror paint it.
Which that's so crazy to think about because there are like Norman Rockwell, for example. He was around for all that. So like, but he's got some of the most iconic paintings of Santa of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that's
like he was influenced like a major artist was that influenced.
Yeah. And that also I guess harkens back to what I was trying to say, where it was like where ads were like worked into the culture versus now like they try to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the goal is maybe we can get it to work. Whereas back then it was like
this is novel. Like
right.
Yeah.
So there was such a participation almost and a more it's like Coke. It's Coca-Cola. It's a brown drink. Like the ad campaign is just creating this cool guy that everybody can tie into with their lives.
Yeah.
And he's drinking Coke.
Yeah.
You know, like the level.
The nicest guy in the world drinks Coke.
Right. And they got to like shape his narrative.
That's wild.
There'd be things like in one of the years his belt buckle was backwards. And they assume it's because he was looking at the mirrored image.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody started writing in and we're like, what's the story? Is that like how the elves make it? Or, and it became this like thing.
Santa got a bit of a drinking problem and he just put his belt on wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Too many eggnogs. The night before. 'Twas the night before Christmas.
And Santa was soused.
And one year he didn't have a wedding ring on. And people was like, what's going on at home? Where's Mrs. Claus?
Do you know that reindeer can consume an entire human in less than 3 weeks?
So, yeah, that was like they shaped a lot of just the visual and kind of mental narrative we have around who that character is.
Well, and not only that, they've done that all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like some countries still have their like very culture specific,
right? But otherwise,
like,
it's bled
everywhere.
Into anywhere that celebrates Christmas.
I mean, and anywhere that sells Coca-Cola,
yeah,
which is everywhere.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so that was one that to me, the true fact of that ended up being way crazier than just like solidifying the color.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got this one. This is a good closing story.
Okay.
So it's about everyone's favorite reindeer. As soon as he proved his worth, Rudolph.
All right. Tell me he gets to smash Vixen.
And this one's named Vixen. The hot one.
I think I took it a step too far when you sent me that. I was like, the one I trained to like peanut butter.
Oh, no. To let you in on that inside joke, that was a tweet I sent Josh that said how bizarre that there's all of the reindeer names. And then he's like, and then one of them, and this one's Vixen, the hot one.
The hot one. Yeah. That's so... When you put it in that context, it's like,
Yeah.
it's either the only girl, which is disturbing, that you would name her Vixen.
Oh, that was
just all the other reindeer running a train on Vixen.
Whoever
That's
formed
so
it.
terrible.
We call this move Santa's sleigh.
It involves a bunch of tiny reindeer.
Oh, man. Whoever wrote the original names, whatever story that actually originated from, was just a pioneer in the furry community.
Oh.
So far ahead of his time.
Someone at Coca-Cola was just like, we need sex appeal with these reindeer.
All right. I take back all of my words, because the story I'm about to read you is actually about the author of this story.
Oh my God.
And for some reason, I was thinking more of the artists, but they were already named.
Okay.
So it did track. But
what if the artist drew one and the guy's like, wait a minute, we need to change that one's name? It was like Valerie or like Vanessa, and he's like,
yeah.
That's Vixen.
I can see them all. There's one beautiful one.
What's that hot one's name?
I feel like we dug ourselves into an awkward hole, because
we've gotten ourselves a very weird Christmas episode. I did not see.
I genuinely was like putting a lot of this together, and I'm like, I know Josh is going to bring what he brings, but I almost feel like I gotta add, like, nothing in here is going to derail us into anything.
Can't get weirder.
Yeah, you can't go into something unwholesome when you're talking about Christmas stories, but here we are. Talking about Bay Vixen. Okay, here's the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, his origin story in the lexicon of the world.
Okay.
The year was 1939, and the Great Depression was waning, and a manager at Montgomery Ward in Chicago decided that the store should create its own children's book for annual holiday promotion. So we're at another thing where it's just...
Christmas has been invented by corporations.
Dude, it really has. Like, you hear that all the time, but you're just like, oh, but it's just because they profit from it. You know, like, but not only that, like, they literally shaped the story that we use now too.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So the boss tapped this man, Robert L. May. He's an ad man for the store, has him take a crack at coming up with a Christmas story. Mm-hmm. And I guess he's famous for like telling stories at the parties and get-togethers, and like making up limericks, and like, just, he's really good at that. So he's like, okay, Christmas, I'm going to give this to you. You take a crack at it. Mm-hmm. So he comes back with the underdog story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it's the story that we all know. And the boss was asked if he could come up with anything better. He's like, just didn't see it working at all.
So you want to tell kids about this cancerous reindeer?
So Robert May, he's like, no, this story, this is it. Like, this is, I wrote this, it's something that I relate to. Other people are going to connect to this thing.
Yeah.
It's a winner. Months into the project, the boss, they convince him into it. Months into the project, May's wife dies from cancer.
I feel bad about my cancer joke earlier. Shit.
So the boss asks, he's like, is we can pass this over to someone else. We got enough to work with here. And he says, no, I need this more than ever. Like, I need to, this is, the perfect time for for me to be doing this. So he goes through with it, writes it all, and it's just the written story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hit. It sells, or they distribute it. It wasn't even sold. So it's like the 3 doors down method.
Yep.
They 2 million.
Wow.
In
At that time,
1939.
that's huge. Yeah.
There was a map in this article that it was like the olden map of it, and showed like what states got however many orders.
Mm-hmm.
And California and Texas were the most by far. They're the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Minnesota was like third that got the most of that. So,
I mean, it's a bunch of Norwegians and Swedes. They're like, oh, I know reindeer.
All right. So they gave out 2 million that year. Rudolph blows up, and then things grow worse for May. He's living on a copywriter's salary, and now he's got all of the medical bills.
Oh.
So this continues, and then after World War II, Montgomery Ward's then CEO, for reasons that aren't exactly clear, signed over the rights to Rudolph to him. And his daughter thinks that they might still to that day have been like, it was just Rudolph. Like, it ran its course.
Yeah.
And then the editor's like, we would like to think for the sake of this Christmas story that it was a change of heart, though.
Yeah. That, you know what? That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let the Grinch in me out and say it wasn't that. That's what it is.
It just so happened that May's brother-in-law was a songwriter, and he hadn't made it big yet, but was getting there.
Nuh-uh.
So he talks him into writing a song about Rudolph. The song was picked up by none other than singing cowboy Gene Autry.
Holy cow.
Sold more than 25 million copies and paved the way for the stop animation film.
That's insane.
Thanks to Rudolph, Robert May's family was taken care of financially through the end of his life and beyond, and he was always delighted being the man that introduced the oddball reindeer in his triumphant tale to the world. And as for Rudolph, as they say, went down in history.
That's so cool.
That's a Christmas movie waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I can't believe that hasn't been made. It's got the plot line in it that the corporation giving him the rights.
Did we just find our foray into Hollywood?
Producers, slide into our DMs.
Also, like, we're not picky about studios. If you want to, like, QAnon Jim Caviezel this shit like that other movie that came out, we'll put it on Angel Network. Yeah. Heard it was a movie.
Yeah. I heard that as well.
Yeah.
I had more to say, but not today.
About the movie?
Just the whole situation.
No.
and kind of the movie, but
yeah. No, we don't want to tarnish this just uplifting episode where we talk about a lot of 9/11 jokes. More than usual, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever linked so many Christmas occurrences to 9/11 ever.
I didn't realize the KKK was so involved.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. When you look at it from 50,000 feet or whatever.
Well,
I think we did it.
Merry Christmas to all.
And to all, a good night.
Send you away with a ballad. All that's missing. If I would have found that like a week ago, I would have added just like a distant, like, like a reindeer, or like a ho, ho, ho. Like,
Do it in post. Oh, that would be funny.
all right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.